Hi all, welcome here at OpenUp. My name is Willemijn and I work as a psychologist for OpenUp. Today I'll be hosting the Masterclass for you. So here at OpenUp we're on a mission to make mental well-being accessible to all. One of the ways we do so is by providing these Masterclasses, where we dive into a specific topic related to mental well-being. Today we're going to learn about one of these aspects. And it's going to be how to navigate this fast-paced environment with all these changes with the upcoming of AI and hybrid working. To address this topic, we invited for you speaker Kilian Wawoe. He's an organisational psychologist and a professor, and he works at the University of Amsterdam, the VU. He's going to talk to us about this topic and explain how to navigate these changes and give us recommendations on how to implement that in your day-to-day work. Before we start, I'm gonna go over some practicalities with you in order to be interactive throughout this masterclass with us. So this is a live session, and this means that you can join us in interaction and you can vote for different topics, different questions. Sorry, I'm just gonna re-explain that. We have three options to be interactive throughout this session. So one of the ways is to give an emoticon, the way you feel about what's being addressed. The second way is to talk to each other in the chat and to address questions in the chat, to respond to each other in the chat. And the third way is to address questions you might have that you would like to have explained by Kilian. At the end of the masterclass, we'll be addressing these questions throughout the Q&A. So we're going to ask the questions to him. If you see a question that you think is very relevant to be answered, you can upvote these questions as well to make them more popular and make sure that we're going to address it throughout the Q&A. Lastly, you will see a pop-up throughout these masterclass with polls where they're going to be asked questions to you. You're going to be able to vote to these questions and see the results to these questions. And in that way you can interact with us throughout the session. So now it's time to invite Kilian and to dive into this topic.
Ladies and gentlemen, if a herd of elephants is suffering from a coronavirus, are they also going to work from home? My name is Kilian Wawoe. I'm an organizational psychologist. I worked in the banking industry and human resources for 11 years. I switched my career and now I'm working at the university where I teach human resources and do research regarding human resources topics. I asked myself this very question: do elephants also start to work from home when they're suffering from a coronavirus? I was asking myself this question in March 2020. Those were the days that we were super afraid of this new virus, that we thought that the world was going to collapse. It was a very tensed time. I was not allowed to go to university. I was walking in a park close to my house, and I asked myself this question: what if a group of elephants suffers from a coronavirus? Would they also start to work from home? Now, I can imagine that for you this question sounds a little bit strange, because elephants cannot work from home, they cannot have meetings, they cannot have hybrid meetings. However, it's much more relevant than you think, because coronaviruses are as old as human beings or elephants. We have suffered from viruses since our beginning. And then we have to make a choice. We either stay together or we leave each other. So throughout evolution, we had to answer this question that we were dealing with in March 2020. Staying together or leave each other. Now, I was thinking like, okay, how does a leader feel without followers? So how does the leader elephant feel after, if they decide to work hybrid? That, for instance, they meet on Mondays and they then leave each other on Fridays or so. If they become exactly what we did, that we become a hybrid herd. So I was thinking like, how does a senior elephant or how does a leader elephant feel after 1 month of a hybrid herd? Now, then I also asked myself the question, how does the baby elephant feel after 1 month of being in a hybrid herd? And the answer to this question is so crucial and is so interesting for the psychology of working from home that I would actually like you to send me your answer in the chat. So please be so kind and write to me in the chat what you think how a baby elephant feels after 1 month of being in a hybrid herd. And while you are typing your answers to me, let me tell you is that a group is of course is there to protect us, and the virus is like an autoimmune disease. You know, the system that needs to protect you, the group, is actually the system that is attacking you. However, if you have as an individual, if you have an autoimmune disease, you cannot choose, you're just suffering from it. But as a group, you have a choice. Do we stay together or we don't? Now let's see how you think that the baby elephant feels. I see confused, I see bad, I see lonely, I see disconnected, I see dominated by others, I see the baby elephant will adapt quickly, the baby elephant is most probably depressed or anxious. Okay, thanks Alina, you're giving a negative emoticon. I haven't seen the correct answer. And it's crucial. It's crucial when we talk about the psychology of groups. We need to understand, and I don't want to over-exaggerate, but the picture that you here see is, as far as I'm concerned, the summary of organizational psychology. Okay, the correct answer, and I'm sorry that this is not going to be a happy end to the story, but the baby elephant is dead. It doesn't survive. The baby elephant does not survive without the group. Now, throughout evolution, elephants who were more social, or humans that were more social, had a bigger chance of survival because social people live in groups. And a group is a survival mechanism. The leader of the group is there to make sure that the group does the right thing. And here it comes. What is the right thing? Is to protect the weak. So a group of elephants or a group of humans is made not around the average group member, it's made around the most vulnerable. Yeah, we are born vulnerable and we will die vulnerable. But in the meantime, the strong take care of the weak. Yeah, and evolution is not about productivity. Yeah, it's not, are we productive, yes or no? And even individual well-being is something you have to be very careful for. If somebody says, I'm super happy, yeah, most elephants are probably happy without the group. No, it gives them a lot of freedom, but translate this to your own lives. You know, look at my life. You know, I probably am happier and definitely more productive without my children and my parents. But what's the point here? You know, the idea is that I take care of them because my parents took care of me, and I take care of my kids and they will take care of me one day. That's the idea of the group. A group is a survival mechanism and is built around the weakest or the most vulnerable. And survival of the fittest, as Darwin said, doesn't mean that the stronger survive, but those who are able to adapt to change. Yeah? Are you able to deal with changes? Now, coming back to hybrid working, is the point that I'm trying to make here is that the answer cannot be, and it's exactly what I see in organizations, is that we write these questionnaires like, what do you want? You want to work from home, yes or no? No, the question is, are there people who are suffering in our group, and how do we deal with them? So, in other words, and it's going to be the conclusion of the day, but your problem is my problem, even if it's not my problem. Yeah, so that's the idea in evolution of a group. Now, I'm going to show you, based on scientific research, how important this is. Now, let me show you a couple of researches some research that has been done for the last decades regarding humans as a group and humans while they're working. And I would like to ask you to answer a question brought up by a psychologist called Teresa Amabile, who is interested in what do people actually like to do at their work, what motivates people at work. And what they did is they followed people throughout the day with a diary. Yeah, so people had to write down what are they doing, how do they feel. Now, I'm going to show you 5 categories of answers. And my question to you is, and that's the next poll question, what do you think motivates people most? Okay, is that something more like having clear goals, as you see? E, is it like making progress? D, is it like getting acknowledgement for good work? Is it interpersonal contact, or is it financial incentives? Now, just to give you one hint, or actually 2, the correct answer is not F, because there's always a smart person that says, yeah, I think it's F. No, one of these 5 was the most chosen motivator. And it's also not a combination of a few, and it's also not, it depends on who we're talking about. No, In general, ask 60,000 people what motivates people most. Follow them, don't ask them, but follow them through the day, and you will find that something is the number one. Okay, I see the answers coming in gradually. And why I'll talk to you. I'm super curious. We've got a very clear, okay, now it's acknowledgement for good work and interpersonal support are both, let's say, the number ones, interpersonal support. Okay, however, one thing is clear, 3 observations. First of all, financial incentives is not scoring super high. Only 30% of you says that this is very important. It's not even in the top 3 of the 5. That's interesting. I've been working in HR for the last 25 odd years, and everything is being reduced to a financial problem. People are leaving us, we don't pay enough. We don't get enough people, we don't pay enough. They don't like their jobs, we don't pay enough. And rightly so, you feel that money is overrated. Money is a hygiene factor. It should be enough compared to the market, enough compared to colleagues, but that's it. Yeah, it's not a good motivator. People don't like their jobs. Paying more is not going to do the trick. Correct. The most given answer, if you ask managers, what do you think is the number one? Acknowledgement for good work is the number one. And you've got it as number 2. And interpersonal support also scores super high. Now, the good news is it's not strange answers, and people like interpersonal support. And they also like to have acknowledgement for good work. However, the correct answer was actually D, making progress. And the psychologist Teresa Amabile calls this the progress principle, which is that people really like to make progress while they're at work. Now, there's 2 elements to making progress. One is that you get better in what you do. The second thing is that you have the idea that together you're growing towards something. My job makes sense because we are growing. The worst thing that you can do to people is make them work on something and have the feeling that it doesn't make any sense. That it doesn't make a difference. So making sense, not in terms of something transcendental, like super big or so. No, I'm talking about making progress. Now, the so-called progress principle is not new, but what is really new about it, first of all, that it's the number one motivator. And the second interesting finding is that most people, like in this masterclass, most people got it wrong. Yeah, they think that people prefer a tap on the shoulder over critical feedback so that they can make progress. Okay, if we go back in time, like for the last 50 years, there's a lot of research done on what motivates people during their working day. 3 things come to mind. So one is growth. Yeah, so we knew already for 50 years that growth is important. However, it's most likely the number 1 and people underestimate it. Okay, growth. The second thing is relatedness. People like to be related to others. We like to be connected to others. The idea of belonging to something or being together in something makes us feel happier. Yeah, together to a restaurant, together to a movie, together to church, whatever. If we have something together, we value things more. And lastly, we like to have some sort of autonomy. Within the group, we would like to have autonomy. We are very strange animals. We like to be part of a group. We like to be ourselves. Yeah, I don't know if I just summed up your personal problems, but relationships have something strange. We want to be part of something. We want to be ourselves. If you think back of my group of elephants, you actually see my group of elephants back in these 3 elements of work. The essence of working together in a group is growth. The essence of nurturing children is growth. It's the idea is that they need to grow in order to survive for the moment that we as parents are no longer there. So we're investing in their growth. The second thing is we like to be related. Mother Nature tells us when we're related with others, we're doing something good. And lastly, we like to have autonomy. A group is a safety net and not a hammock. Yeah, so the idea is that the group takes care of us only when we need to. Yeah, I don't know if there are any parents who are curling parents, you know, these parents that try to take away all the problems of their children, but that is not a very good strategy. The good thing is make sure that people are able to grow. Okay, these 3 elements of work, which are sometimes a little bit conflicting, sometimes really strengthen each other, are the essence, and I call this the constitution of work. Yeah, in essence, what we're looking for in our work is we like to grow, we like to be related to others, and we like to make our own decisions if possible. Okay, now if you think about work and what is important of work, if you want to grow, you need to have time and a process in order to grow. Now, the opposite of having having time and process to grow is what I call restaurant feedback. Yeah, I'm the inventor and only user of this word, by the way. But restaurant feedback means that somebody comes to you in a restaurant and says, "Did you enjoy your meal?" And you just say yes. You're lying. Or at least you're not telling the complete truth. And the interesting thing, the one that asks you this question also has no real interest in the answer to your question. You know, do you really want to grow? Then you need to have time and process in order to grow. So, for example, a good restaurant, actually I tried this. One of my biggest failures in the last 15 years, I had a project called Food and Feedback. And the idea was, let's get proper feedback from our clients. So in restaurants, they didn't ask like, "Did you enjoy your meal?" And then you lied back like, "Oh yeah, I did." And then you don't come ever back again. No, people gave genuine feedback. And it turned out that most restaurant owners said, "Yeah, but I don't want to hear this." I actually asked it a lot when I give talks in organizations. I said, if you buy new shoes and you ask your friends, "What do you think about it?" Am I supposed to lie or am I supposed to say what I really think? And then most people say, "Yeah, just lie to me, just say that my self-image is correct." But that's not time and process. So if something is important, we should devote time. And we know from psychological research that at the end of your lives, you will look back at yourself and the things you will regret most, you worked hard, you didn't spend enough time for your friends, and you didn't spend enough time on your health. So now that you know this, are you actually going to spend time? You're going to devote time to get better? Or are you still this afternoon going to look at what the latest news is on Kim Kardashian? You know, if you look how much time we use for complete nonsense, or reading websites that are complete nonsense, or watching series or movies, if we would have devoted that time in the things that really matter, also for you, your friends, your health, your family, why don't we devote time to the things that we think are important? Okay, so from a positive side, now that you know this, just make a list of things that are really important for you and then devote time. Now, one way, this is in your personal life, but now back to work, I show you a couple of tools here of things that might be importance of your work, which is AI tools that we found are the most interesting from last year. This year, probably new ones will pop up, but you don't only need to grow in order to get better at your work. You need to grow in order to stay relevant. And to give you as an example, I've been teaching in a university for the last 12 years or so, and for the last 500 years we've been doing the same. You know, there was a person talking and everybody was listening, and that's it. But since the lockdown, we know that we can also have online meetings, or we can have online lectures. And I supervise research, but my students, since a year and 4 months, with one button, they can write a complete thesis. Complete with ChatGPT. My work is completely upside down. So all these things that you see here, all these tools, AI tools, we need to grow in order to stay relevant. And to say it in a negative way, we are all on a way towards incompetence. And the only way to keep up with our competition is to invest time to get better. Yeah, and not only to get better to grow, but in order to stay relevant. So we need to devote time in keeping up our knowledge when it comes to artificial intelligence, just as an example. Good, back to hybrid working. So we know that growth is important. Yeah, we know that relatedness is important, and we know autonomy is important. Then the lockdown started. And we asked people while they were working from home, what do you think? What about your growth? What about your relatedness? And what about your autonomy? Guess what happened? People said, I grew less. Yeah, I learned less during the lockdown. Who suffered from this? Baby elephants. Yeah, the people who work in an organization and who do not get this learning experience as before. Yeah, if you're sitting at home at your kitchen table, you don't learn that much. The new people, new to the organization, baby elephants, but also, let's say, older elephants that joined the group, they had difficulties in understanding. The second thing is relatedness. Now, people missed relatedness. People missed each other a lot. But look at this research, very interesting on who connected with whom during the lockdown, is what you see here is that a strong network, so people that you know really well, people interacted with them more, so a strong network became more prominent, became stronger, and a weak network, so let's say a coffee at the coffee machine or getting to know new people, chit-chatting around, became less. So we had more interactions with the people that we already knew. We had less interactions with the people that we knew less. And normally you interact a lot with people you don't know so well. Okay, who suffered from this? Guess what? Baby elephants, because they didn't have the network. Okay, and the last thing is autonomy. A lot of people value the autonomy a lot because, you know, having less, having autonomy makes work easier. However, baby elephants suffered because if you give people freedom and they don't know what to do, difficult. Okay, so during the lockdown, people suffered. The people that suffered most from the lockdown were predominantly the baby elephants, and I have to say also older elephants who joined the group recently. Now, I hope that you're all still there, because now comes the most important thing about working from home. What people then say is, what you see here on one side is somebody working at home, super happy with the work-life balance, and you know, and on the other side you see a stock photo. I love stock photos of these people who give high fives in their office. You know, super nice. They're so happy working in the office, and then the manager thinks everybody's happy. We've got somebody at home, people in the office, do whatever you like, and then everybody's happy. The fundamental problem with this, and now, again, this is the fundamental mistake of hybrid working like this, is that maybe we're missing out on the knowledge of the one that's sitting at home. Yeah. So what happens if the autonomy of one person conflicts with the learning experience of other people? In other words, we don't have a constitutional court in psychology, but if we would have a constitutional court, we have to weigh, we have to balance whether or not the autonomy of one person conflicts with the relatedness and the growth of others. Given the progress principle of Teresa Amabile, and given the self-determination theory of Dacey and Ryan, yeah, I would say relatedness and growth go first, autonomy second. Yeah. So on a Saturday, my children are ruining my Saturday because I want to read the newspaper. Well, bad luck for me. They go first. Yeah, the learning and the relatedness of those who need it goes above the autonomy of those who are stronger. That's the idea of a survival mechanism in the group. And as far as I'm concerned, hybrid working is fine. Yeah, everybody from my age who's not like, yeah, but I like it. Okay, however, you only get your freedom if you give relatedness and growth to the others. That's the deal of hybrid working, and not the other way around. Because what I now see in organizations is that the strongest are the ones that set the tone. Those are the ones that set the rules. Okay, so what we did is we asked people, like, if you're going back to the office, what are we going to do? And I think the answer to that question is quite simple. What we should do is we should not ask ourselves, how many days do you want to come to the office? I think that question is fundamentally wrong. 3 mistakes. It's not about you, it's about us. It's not about what you want, but what you have to do. And the third thing is, it's not about the quantity of the number of days, it's about the quality if we are together. So the correct thing is, what do we do when we are in the office? And that's what we asked people. What do you still want to do in the office? And of course, the answer to this question is relatedness and growth. It's a place, work is a place, an office is a place where we grow together and meet together. Okay, let me show you lastly on this. We asked people, what do you want to do in the office? They said, we want to create, cooperate, and coach. Sit together and have the opportunity to just ask a question. Okay, the second thing that people said, we want to connect and collide. We want to connect to the people we already know, or connect to people we don't know yet. So we're all in the office, have a chit chat and a coffee machine, and make sure that we build a network. And the third thing is what we need is meetings that actually take place in the office. Yeah, meetings that are emotional, creative, complex in the office. When it's a quick thing like the to-do list, do it online. Okay, so the deal of hybrid working is make sure that you will get your autonomy if you give the other enough growth and relatedness. And again, that goes first. And I'm fully aware that my fellow boomers can get really angry with this because, yeah, but I am happy. This is my work-life balance. I am happy this way. Yeah, but maybe, fellow boomers, the world is not only turning around you. Yeah, you're not the center of the universe. The idea, you were also once this baby elephant who came into an office and had no clue what to do. Yeah, I'm supervising a student at the moment. She came into the office. There was a laptop, there were flowers, and no colleagues. Yeah, what do you think? You know, that's not sustainable. And if you do a research on, yeah, but we asked our people, yeah, but there's one group who wasn't involved in your research, that's the one who don't work for you yet. The baby elephants that are not born are not in your survey. Okay, let me give you some practical tips on how you can deal with hybrid working to make this challenge also into an opportunity. First of all, don't ask yourself how many days should we come to the office, but ask yourself when we are there, what are we going to do? Answer, give each other growth and give each other relatedness. Second is we need to have growth means deliberate practice. Yeah, devote time to grow. Spend time on the things that are important. Are you emailing a lot? Then spend time on how you do that. Yeah, you have a lot of meetings, spend time how that works. And I would say 1%, so 2,000 hours of work is 20 hours per year on deliberate practice. Since AI is so important now in our lives, devote also at least 1% of your time in asking yourself the question if you can improve your processes based on AI. Yeah, get deliberate practice. Get somebody who knows more than you do and get challenged in if you could maybe get better in something by using AI. And the third thing is also make sure, and the clicker is not working, is digital coaching. Make sure that you get digital coaching. And it doesn't mean that it means that somebody comes and sits with you and helps you to get better at stuff. Okay, if you do research, it's not about the strongest, it's not about the average, it's about the weakest. So sit together and ask, is there anyone here who has difficulties in the way that we now work? Let them speak first. Yeah, so not men from 50 plus who run the show and then say, I'm happy and stuff. No, shut up. Yeah, wait until the weakest or the most vulnerable speaks first. And actually also somebody should speak on behalf of those who are not there, the unborn elephants. Okay, I would say meetings always face-to-face or all online, but not hybrid, because hybrid creates inequality. Yeah, people don't cannot sustain very long online in their meetings. So either online or face-to-face, but not hybrid. Then you get inequality in the meeting. If you do choose to have a hybrid meeting, then let the chair be somebody who's online, because they feel that everybody's switched off. I'm 100% sure that of everybody who's in this masterclass now, at least a few of you are now doing your email or so. Yeah, because you can feel whether or not the dynamics at home are still good. I'm a very big fan of the Swedish fika. It means having a cup of tea without an agenda. Yeah, so set your fika time, not a drink, no drinks, not a lunch, just fika time. Tea, coffee, cookie. Okay, we need to have a communication policy. We need to agree with each other on how to communicate with each other and not take it for granted, because different generations have different ideas regarding communication. Last tips are for yourself, for your autonomy. When you decide to work remotely, make sure that your remote office resembles your office, so to say. Yeah, so work from a place that reminds you of work and not from your bed or from your bath. We really had people doing that. People are asking us a lot, can I work from another country? In most cases, it's illegal. I know I'm really People don't like it when I say it, but you have to check this. You're violating a lot of rules very easily, not only fiscal, but also labor laws and social security. Yeah, and check this if it's really possible. However, if you have people who are from another country, give them the opportunity to work a couple of days or a couple of weeks from wherever they like, and just be open about it. Yeah, so they don't have to pretend that they're working from around the corner. No, give them a couple of days, especially if they have family members living abroad. Then it's a super important benefit. In Western Europe, we're world champions sitting, and that's not a very good record. So we need to have time to physically exercise. So make sure that your meetings are not too long and that you have enough physical exercise. Are we allowed to take care of children? Some say yes, some say no. The only good answer is talk to each other. But definitely make sure that you prevent the traffic jams, because what happens now, everybody goes to the office and is in a traffic jam again. You know, that doesn't make sense. So don't go to the office all on Tuesdays and Thursdays and meet each other on 9 o'clock, because that's ridiculous. Be a bit more wise than that. People need small talk. So if you're a manager and you have small talk every now and then, your agenda is actually free, that is good. Yeah, because what happens now, people go to the office, agenda is full, no small talk. Well, this is what makes us human. Yeah. Limit meetings to 45 minutes and then exercise again. Sitting is the new smoking, so make sure that everybody in between meetings gets the opportunity to actually physically exercise. Make sure that, or be aware that you as an employer are always responsible for your employees. Also, if they get a burnout or have some physical problems, you are responsible. So make sure that the home office also is healthy. And the last thing is give people, the right to disconnect. Yeah, some people have difficulties in switching off. Then make sure they have 2 SIM cards on one phone and agree with each other from 7 o'clock onwards. We disconnect. And if you as a manager or a senior person sends a message at 11 o'clock, the message is clear. We work until 11. Yeah. So stop this, stop the server, stop the other SIM card, and give people the right to disconnect. Ladies and gentlemen, let me finalize by giving one more time the clue of what I was trying to say today. We humans are group animals, and we, like elephants, we like to live, or we have to live in groups in order to survive. Now answer to the question, how do elephants deal with a virus? They don't leave each other. They will never do, because that's dangerous for the survival of the group. On the other hand, they are hybrid. Yeah, they also don't follow each other everywhere where they go. However, what they do is they take care of each other. And the group only allows you to have freedom if you give the other protection. And that's your role as well in your organization. And if you don't like that, become a male elephant, then you're there for cross-fertilization, but not for the children. Okay, hybrid working, I genuinely feel is a chance. It's really a chance to give people more autonomy in their lives, but only if you give learning experience and relatedness to the others. Thank you.
Welcome back, and thank you, Kilian, for gaining insight on how to navigate these fast-paced environments. Thank you for elaborating on how we can deal with that and what we can refocus on. So throughout the masterclass, there were some questions that were asked, and we'd like to address them with you.
Sure.
The first one would be from Jenny. So she's asking, how do you know if you're a weak elephant?
Yeah. That's sometimes difficult to know, because especially younger elephants are sometimes unconsciously incompetent. That's what we now see at the university, is that a lot of our students, they don't want to come back to the office, to the campus, because they don't know what they don't know. They don't know that they're actually missing out on the opportunity to make really good friends. I would say, if you are talking about hybrid working or how AI influences your work, sit together and make have a vision on how you think people should interact with each other. So let's go away from the individual level and first of all say that we just want people to be here, whether you're vulnerable, yes or no. And how do you know that you're vulnerable, Jenny? Yeah, one thing for sure, if you recently joined a group, you're by default vulnerable in the sense that you don't know how things work yet. So everybody who recently joined is vulnerable. And there are a few other, let's say, indicators that things are, of course, not going well. Same as with burnout. People who have withdrawal behavior from the group is also not healthy. So, but I would say start with a vision on how you think people should interact with each other, regardless if they are vulnerable, yes or not.
Yeah. So what I hear you say is that the company can make stress the relevance of coming to the office, for example.
Yeah.
And therefore it's a shared responsibility, I guess. So It's not the weak elephant that should be the one who points out, hey, I'm the one.
No, because it's super difficult. When you're 22, remember all of you, when you had your first working day, would you have the guts to say, can you help me? Can you be here or whatever? Like, for instance, this student that I'm supervising, she came to the office. There is nobody. Literally, there's nobody in the office. You would need a lot of guts to send a mail to everybody. Can you all please come back to the office because I'm lonely?
Yeah, I guess nobody would do that.
No, of course not.
No.
She will. She votes with her feet. She will just leave. And then they're calling people like me, HR specialists, and say, yeah, our people are leaving. What do we need to do? Yeah, how can I become a member of your group if you're never there?
Yeah. So it all starts with having proper guidelines and stressing the importance of it.
Yeah. Let me rephrase it a little bit, because everybody these days works with guidelines. Guidelines are often, let's say, rules that are not enforced. And what I now see in organizations is that people do whatever they like. So they show up in pajamas, they take their children with them, they take the dog with them, they don't show up for a meeting, say, yeah, I'll call in. No, that's not. So no guidelines, rules. We pay you a salary, and this is what we expect in return. And I see you looking at me like, what the hell is this? And I know this is against maybe modern management theory, or against all these books that say it's about happiness and you should be, work should be fun and there should be, ping pong table. No, you also have an obligation, and that's where you get paid for.
Yeah. It's true. I'm smiling actually a little bit because I'm thinking of the perspective of communication and how to phrase it in a more neutral way in order to address something. And I guess we shifted a little bit from having rules towards having guidelines. Yeah. But it makes it less strict and takes away the relevance maybe as well.
Yeah. You know that in psychology, the alpha male or the alpha female, in the case especially of elephants, is not somebody who's the strongest, but who protects the weak. And an alpha male or alpha female is there in order to make sure that the group protects the weak. So as a leader, you should not say, a leader elephant would not say, yeah, we have got guidelines and then we will talk about it. No, they will enforce you to do the things that are good for the group. That's what the leader does.
That's how we can see how nature does it, at least.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mother Nature really has a leadership style that says everybody needs to behave in order to let the group survive.
All right. Food for thought. So I'm going to proceed. There are more questions. So, for example, Gian asked the questions, I would have liked some concrete suggestions around digital coaching and AI deliberate practice rather than just get better at it. Does Dr. Wawoe have any concrete suggestions?
Yeah, I do. So I've been doing a couple of projects with organizations that says we need to work on AI. How AI can really change our primary process. So first of all, it turns out that there's a huge generational difference. Although I'm generalizing here a little bit, but a coaching between generations of how to use certain tools is very helpful. To give you an example, is in my university, I know it's not AI, but we're working with Slack at the moment, and I have to admit that everybody from my age had no clue what it was and didn't work with it. So we set up a program where younger employees sat down with older employees and showed them how to do it and what the advantage was of this. And the same is with a company that I now work with who are in marketing. And at least 20% of their whole primary process is now outsourced to an AI tool. And it's especially the younger who are coaching the more senior elephants in this case. So not only devote time, but set up an internal coaching program. And if it doesn't work internally, then get somebody from the outside that helps you. Devote time, deliberate practice to see how you can outsource a part of your primary process to AI.
Yeah, I like that way. Yeah. It also reinforces the connection.
Absolutely, absolutely. And also gives the, let's say, more junior elephants the idea that they actually add a lot of value.
Yeah.
And especially since AI work is, in some cases, it is completely upside down. So let other people, including your more junior colleagues, let them help you to get better at stuff.
All right. Moving forward to the next question. Jenny is asking, how can you get the strong elephants to advocate? So allyship is not something that the people who need allies have control of.
Can you rephrase this question?
So if you're aware of that there are weaker elephants and stronger elephants, how do you even get the strong elephants get moving around the subject? So because it's not something that the people who need allies, the weaker elephants, have control of.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we should do in both when it comes to AI in the future of work and to hybrid working is set up meetings with the team and talk about these things. And one of the things that I've done so far, or see working really well, is that you make a round and you ask people, like, in terms of AI, are the things that we're missing, or do you think we can improve? Or in terms of hybrid working, are the things that can improve? Always ask the people who are the most vulnerable, or those who do not like the current way of working, let them speak first.
Yeah, okay.
Let them speak first. I had a meeting the other day with a lot of people from older than I am, let's say 55 or so. And there was one person who was 30. And then they said, yeah, we talked about it. We don't see the problem. We don't see the problem with AI because we're 55. And hybrid working, we just work from home because we all like it. Yeah, but if everybody from 55 likes this way of working, then in 5 years' time, the whole department is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so sit down with each other, have these meetings on how can we improve, these performance improvement meetings. And one of the rules is let those who need most attention or who are most unhappy, let them speak first.
Yeah. All right. So it's also a matter of reflecting with myself if I'm centering myself too much and then opening myself up more.
And that's exactly what we do. So what we have been doing for the last 30 years or so, we all talk about employee happiness, and it's all about your happiness. As long as you are happy, I would counterbalance that a little bit. It's not about your personal happiness; it's about the survival of the group. And sometimes it means that you're a little bit less happy, but you invest time in others.
Yeah, which maybe ultimately makes you happy as well, because
definitely. Yeah, if you help somebody, we know from research, helping other people makes you happy.
Yeah. All right, thank you. So Dan raised the question, how do you get the weakest link to speak up in a room full of alpha animals? Leaders, employees with more experience, so more mature.
Yeah. Okay, so one way to do this is have let's say, a performance improvement meeting, sit down and ask the ones like, hey, is there anyone who doesn't like the way that we work? Let them speak first. Okay, that's one. The other option is, of course, that you do a survey and ask people, or interviews. Sometimes interviews are better than surveys. And that you ask people like, hey, what do you think we can improve? And in the case of this company that I was helping, the average age was 53 or so. The only people that were younger than 40 indicated to me like, I want to leave this company. Not that I don't like it, but there's just nobody here. And then on behalf of them, somebody goes to management and says, if you want to continue as a group, you have to take their voice into account. And the last group, as I already indicated, that is difficult, is the group that has no voice because they're not there yet. So in the case of a group, I know nothing about the organization where you work, but I know that most people that will work there in 2050 are not even born. So
probably.
So we need to think about a system that is sustainable and sometimes give a voice for those who cannot speak up.
Yes, and develop with this.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. All right, we're gonna proceed to the last question already.
Yeah, sure.
This one's from Jenny. So, in a hybrid situation, how do you manage the power dynamic between the remote workers and the in-person workers?
Yeah. Now, first of all, I think we should. So what we did in our research, we asked people, what do you want to do in the office? And people said, when we are here, we would like to connect and we would like to learn from each other. Mm-hmm. So I would say you don't need to go to the office 5 days per week. It's not needed, unless you have certain jobs, yes, but in general, no. But when you are there, make sure that you're all there and then learn from each other. And I now see these organizations that have an app that says like, Jenny is in on Wednesday and on Friday, but some people are using this, or if you like, abusing this to avoid Jenny because they don't like Jenny. So they make sure if Jenny's there on Wednesday and Friday, I'll just make sure I'm not there. No. If you agree with each other, we're in the office 2 days a week. No, agree with each other, we're all here on Wednesday and Friday. Or our department is here on Wednesday and Friday. And then this is what we're going to do. Not only meetings, from morning till afternoon, but that we also have time to connect and that we have time to learn from each other. So I think that in hybrid working, we really need to organize things that went without saying before. So we really need to organize ourselves in a new way of working.
Yeah, so you can still work in a hybrid situation, but then
of course,
you'd rather have all of the people online or all of the people in the office.
Yeah, and then agree with each other. Like, for instance, I'm working in the university 1 day a week. On Monday, we're there. So not 1 day a week, but Monday. And this is what we're going to do. So not all doing all Zoom calls sitting next to each other. That doesn't make any sense. When we're there, we coach each other. We have presentations, we have meetings, we have the things, and we have tea together. And we do things that make us grow and connect.
Yeah, and have fika.
And we have fika.
All right, Kilian, this was our last question. So thank you for addressing those questions.
Thank you.
And also thank you. Yeah, thank you for gaining some insight around this topic and give us tips and recommendations on how to navigate this fast-paced environment.
Thank you.
And thank you for being here today throughout this masterclass and interacting with us. Thank you for sending out the questions, and we hope to see you next time soon. Have a good day.